Welcome back to our special focus on the state of Kerala, which is reeling under the worst flood in 100 years. Our focus today is on rebuilding Kerala, rebuilding the state. MB Rajesh, I want to come to you. We just spoke to Mr. Paul Thomas. He raised a lot of concerns for the industry. The farmers are suffered in a big way. Almost 46,000 hectares of cropland has been damaged. 2 lakh poultry has been lost. 46,000 animals have also been killed and lost. What is the assurance that you would like to give the industry, the farmers of your state?
As you rightly said, this is a flood happened in the worst flood in the last 100 days. So we will have to completely rebuild and reconstruct Kerala. So we will have a proper plan for the rebuilding and reconstruction of Kerala. Yesterday, the Chief Minister has, in a comprehensive press conference, has addressed all these issues, and the cabinet and the government will come out with a comprehensive plan and a policy response for the reconstruction of the state of Kerala. I assure you that with the help of the central government, with the help of international community, and with the help of entire people of Kerala, we will emerge out of this difficult situation. That's all I can say right now. Anyway, we have already started that. Anyway,
Mr. Rajesh, one quick question. Would you demand that the GST Council examine the possibility of a natural calamity cess to fund the Kerala flood fight back? Do you demand that there should be a natural calamity cess to fund the rebuilding?
See, that I cannot answer right now. We have not yet discussed such a proposal as of now. But of course, we will have to find some ways for finding resources to rebuild Kerala. Apart from the help from various sources, we will have to find some major sources of mobilizing funds.
All right. I'm going to go across now to Mr. Kamal Kishore. Mr. Kishore, the Chief Minister has pegged the losses at 20,000 crores. MB Rajesh, who's a member of the ruling party in Kerala, is saying that we are going to come up with a concrete plan. We will take assistance from the centre as well. The centre yesterday has allocated 500 additional crores. The central assistance is now 600 crores. Would this be enough? As per your experience with post-disaster recovery, is this enough to rebuild the state of Kerala?
I think the initial allocation that has been made, it is primarily for relief under the existing norms. How much would it cost to rebuild and reconstruct and recover in all sectors of economy? It actually remains to be seen. What I would like to emphasize is that we really need to move swiftly to support people in recovering. And a core aspect of that is really recovering livelihoods. When we begin to recover livelihoods, people become empowered, and then they can begin to move on to rebuilding houses and rebuilding other systems around them. And that cuts across many sectors, whether it is tourism sector, whether it is plantation sector, whether it is agriculture sector, if there are any losses in fisheries. So I think a swift support to recovery of livelihoods and minor infrastructure, which actually determines, which basically supports livelihood systems, is absolutely critical. The sooner we do that, the sooner we will move on from the relief phase to a recovery phase, wherein people will begin to move back to their houses, and they will be the active participants and drivers of the recovery process in Kerala. You know, the initiative that local...
Ms. Sujata Rao? Mr. Kishore, I'm coming back to you. Sujata Rao, now when people go back to their homes, as Mr. Kamal Kishore rightly said, that, we need to focus on recovery now. We need to make sure that people go back to their means of livelihood. But when they do that, what are the points that they need to keep in mind as far as health and sanitation is concerned? Because you've got animals who would be dead on the roads. You would have houses which would be full of mud, which would be full of water. So how do you make sure personally that your health, your sanitation of your entire family is taken care of? What are the points that the people of Kerala should keep in mind themselves?
Well, you know, to begin with, I'm sure as the waters recede, the real damage, the extent of damage will really come up. In the sense, a lot of animals and birds would have, the carcasses may be lying around, which, you know, they need to be buried. The water will be soft, and soil, it's very difficult. They might have putrefied. It's a very tough job. It's not that easy to clear up this kind of a mess because of the slush and so on. So a lot of community work will need to be done to get their community and the villages back again with public sanitation. But as I said earlier, the health workers will need to be out there in the villages and do a massive amount of chlorination and massive amount of chlorination. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, yeah, ma'am. Go ahead.
Chala gaya connection. Hello, can you hear me?
All right, let me go across now. Let me go across to Paul Thomas.
Measures that need to be taken. One point. May I make just one point?
Yeah, ma'am, go ahead.
Hello? Yeah, what I was trying to say is, besides these public health measures, which are pretty well laid down, what we need to do, is also I'm worried about the psychosocial support that the people who have been affected really require. You know, I mean, a student's birth certificates or examination certificates getting washed off, then what happens to him, that kind of depression of the loss, the enormity of loss, and the sense of loss will need to be somehow or the other addressed also. There's a loss of income, loss of, you know, their wherewithal for the next steps ahead. So I think the psychosocial support is often overlooked and needs to be something needs to be done to be providing that. So a lot of community effort is what I would say is very critical at this moment.
Lot of community effort, psychosocial support. I think that's a very important point that you've raised, Sujata Rao. But I'm going to go across to Mr. Paul now. Mr. Paul Thomas, as a member of the CII, what would be your demand if you had to recommend something to the government? You've got a member of the ruling party here on this panel. What would be your suggestion? What would be your key demands?
So we have we have been involved in the relief operations. We were closely working with the district administration, all our CII chapters in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Andhra, and all southern India state councils have really supported industries, have been supporting with on the relief phase. So today, our leadership team has met the Chief Minister and offered our support mainly on the rebuilding phase. So we have expertise in the green building protocol and SOPs. We were able to support. We will be supporting the government. We will also focus on rehabilitation. There are around more than 12,000 houses. This is the first estimate. It will be more than that. Around 12,000 houses have been partially damaged. Around more than 1,000 houses completely lost. So CI with its expertise will be focusing on adopting some villages. We work closely with the government and working on the housing area. That is one area we will be working alongside with the government. So other areas will, as the requirement comes, yeah.
Okay. But, you know, MB Rajesh, the question that comes to our mind, and this is what Mr. MB Gadgil, Mr. Madhav Gadgil had also raised. He had said that, you know, we knew this all along. For the last 7 to 8 years, we've been talking about illegal mining. We've been talking about illegal quarrying. We had warned that this could lead to a disaster. But successive state governments have been sitting on this. Now, how will you assure people, and these were his lines to us, he said that illegalities have been legalized in the state of Kerala. How are you going to correct this in the days to come and make sure that a disaster of this magnitude does not take place?
See, we have to learn many lessons from this flood, including environmental lessons, I agree. But I don't think that this kind of a flood was happened only because of these violations and only because of man-made mistakes. Yes, man-made mistakes have contributed to this disaster, but there are many reasons. Anyway, we will learn important lessons from this disaster, and we need to have a proper policy response to this situation. We will come up with such policy responses.
Okay. Kamal Kishore, how do you think we make sure that whatever infrastructure now comes up puts people in a better position?
See, I would like to say two things here. One is that this is a tremendous opportunity to build back better not just in physical sense, but also in a socio-economic sense. You know, this is an opportunity to upgrade our standards wherever it is possible, improve our land use planning so that the impact of such extreme events in the future is less. The second point I would like to make with regards to recovery particularly is that, you know, the way people of Kerala have responded to this flood is absolutely remarkable. The kind of resolve they have shown is really remarkable. So which means that also in recovery and reconstruction, they really have to be in the driving seat. They need to determine what kind of recovery they want. And the sooner we are able to get them out of relief camps to their livelihoods, to their houses, even if they're partially damaged and being repaired, the more swift the recovery will be. In this whole thing, our biggest resource, our biggest heroes are people of Kerala. They really need to be in the driving seat for recovery and reconstruction program.
Right. Mr. Kishore, thank you very much for joining us, and we'd like to thank all our panelists, MB Rajesh for taking out time. His constituency has been badly affected. Madhav Gadgil, well-known ecologist, Paul Thomas, Mr. Kamal Kishore, Sujata Rao, thank you very much all for joining us. Our thoughts and prayers with all the families who've lost their loved ones. Remember, 357 people have lost their lives so far. Lakhs have been displaced. Our thoughts with all of them right now. Let's hope the state of Kerala, the people of Kerala are back on their feet at the earliest.